what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to the Mad Max Minute, where every day is lovely in Mad Max Fury Road, 1 minute at a time. I'm Rick.
And I'm Julia.
And today we're talking about minute 29, which begins with the war rig being dogged by the persistent Murnaro, and it ends with Nux closing in on the rig. Back again for more is Johnie Powers, Powers by name, Powers by reputation, from Austin Powers Minute, and Niall McGowan, McGowan by name, McGowan by reputation, from the Batminute podcast.
That's right, McGowan by reputation. So I'll see you guys. Cheerio. But yes, thank you for having us back.
Yeah, thanks for having us back.
I was trying to think when I was writing up my intros, okay, so in The Spy Who Shagged Me, Powers by name, Powers by reputation, that one's easy. What can I do with Niall's name? And then I said, well, if I pronounce it right, McGowan and then McGowan, it just makes sense, right?
It is McGowan.
It all depends on what part of the island you're from.
Oh.
Am I going to specify which island? No, I'm not.
Any island. All of them. Papua New Guinea. Perfect.
I was very excited to see. Apparently, there is an 80-acre island for sale off the coast of Ireland. I was like, oh, I wonder how much it's going for. It's like, oh, it'd be so handy to just have an 80-acre island to yourself.
That sounds lovely.
Right?
It just, maybe of all the people involved in the Movies by Minute community pitch in, we could buy it and make it like a Movies by Minute haven.
Did you see the price tag by any chance?
Yeah.
No, I think it's in like the millions. But, particularly too over here with there's a lot of complications coming up with Brexit. I don't know if you guys have heard. So it could be good. Like, just have make our own society. Just go and create a new island.
If you're looking to buy real estate and you've got millions to spend, you could buy that island off of the coast of Ireland. Or there is a, 1/3 acre?
Yeah, 1/3 of an acre with a 200 square foot cabin.
Oh, I think it's a 300 square foot cabin.
Oh, okay.
In one of the larger cities near us that's selling for only $2 million.
No. Tell the island. Actually, I see that and I raise you. Hi, most of us have Patreons. So if you have extra money to burn, you should throw enough money into all of the minute by minute Patreons so that we can go in on it together and that can be our island. It'll be great.
I'm just looking in through the article again to see if I can get an official price, and there is no official price actually. But apparently, the person who owns it says that he is willing to sell the island to anyone who has the means to purchase this, be they government, entrepreneurs, or someone famous. So, guys, we're all famous. We can totally buy this thing from this guy.
We're two of those things: entrepreneurs and famous.
Well,
perfect.
We're one of those things. I don't know what the stipulation is in order to be famous. I do not know, but I'm pretty sure none of us are it. One thing that I do know for sure, and this is getting into a bit of Monday's Minute that I said we were going to shuffle off to today. Around second 46 in minute 28, we start getting a section of this movie where all of these quick high energy shots are going to give way to longer, more drawn out shots that really show off the majesty of this toxic storm. Like, this thing is huge. It's destructive. It's terrible. But at the same time, it's awe-inspiring. And the way that George Miller slows everything down, he basically takes an action movie and he turns it into an episode of Planet Earth.
I have to ask, has anyone here seen the, what do they call it? Is it called Black and Chrome, or the black and white version of the movie that they've released?
We have a copy of it, but we're saving it for a credit episode.
I was just wondering, like, shots like this, the color would seem so important. So I'm just wondering how it looks. Like, if you take, I'm assuming they've treated it to still to try to make it look amazing. But it's just, the rich redness and the kind of the oranges that are coming through. Like, everything about this is just like, oh yeah, a lot of work went into this to make this storm look as majestic and brilliant and terrifying as it is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just wonder what a transfer to black and white would even be like with it.
is definitely something for us to consider when we eventually sit down and watch it.
Put a pin in that. Come back to it in, 110 episodes or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, less than that. Before watching Fury Road, I had seen the movie Twister, and I can't think of any other movies that specifically revolve around giant swirling columns of air, but I can definitely say that the first time I saw Fury Road, I had never seen anything like what we're seeing here. Tail end of minute 28, most of minute 29.
Yeah, I think in the world of cinema, this scene is unique. Even Twister doesn't come close to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's Twister times 8.
But Twister did have the flying cows and stuff, though.
That's true. You can't beat the cows.
Can you, though?
Well, the
Can
thing
you
is,
not
maybe that's
beat the
where
cow?
they wanted to put the penguin in this scene.
Oh no.
That they just drive along and a penguin would fly
We've
past.
got penguins.
No.
And that was the official George Miller, that's where the line was drawn, where he's like, nope, I refuse to do that. It's like, could we at least have Elijah Wood just flying past as well? If you can't get the original penguin, or Robin Williams, just one of them just flying past. Like, nope, not doing it.
Elijah Wood would have made an excellent war boy.
Oh, he would have actually, yeah.
Yeah, he would have.
You could have put Elijah Wood in the car next to Nux, and a penguin flies by, and Elijah Wood says, "Penguin!" And then that same penguin flies by, and he says, "Oh, another penguin!" And the Nux would say, "No, that's the same one." Just to really connect everything together with super glue.
I have to ask though, because this, whatever, has made the post-apocalypse of the nuclear war or whatever in the Mad Max universe. Out of the 4 movies, beyond the place being a barren desert wasteland, is this the first thing they've shown of a different environmental factor that's a side effect of what's come before? That there are raging, insane sandstorms that are just thunder and lightning and all this kind of crap?
Nope. Because at the end of Thunderdome, there's also a sandstorm that is quite large and unnatural. It's not a toxic sandstorm like this one, but it is unnaturally large. Mm-hmm. And we actually get a very similar visual in Thunderdome where they're in the plane and they're flying along and they fly along the edge of just this red wall of sand. That is quite similar to images we saw before they drove into the storm, where we've got this large, just impossibly large wall of red sand.
Oh, this might be a thing that recurs in Fury Road for me, is that it's taking things that were in the other movies and kind of almost doing them better in a way. Mm-hmm. The visual of someone fastened to the front of a car, that's from Road Warrior. Mm-hmm. But then in this one, it's much more memorable because when I saw Road Warrior, that visual didn't stay in my head, but it stays in your head in this one because it's the main character who's stuck at the front of the car. But and then it's even things they have toe cutters back, but he's kind of a bigger, more impressive villain this time. So it's same guy, but we're doing more with him. So this is we took the sandstorm idea and we're doing it better. We're doing it even bigger than before.
Faster, more intense.
Exactly, yeah.
So we've got this war rig, and Furiosa is driving it through this storm, and she's doing pretty much what Rictus Erectus thought she was going to do. She's trying to lose them in the storm because she thinks they're stupid. She thinks that she can lose them in there, but she's still got this group of chuckleheads in this Monaro that is chasing her down. Now, these are the same guys before we got into the storm that tried to shoot her with a flamethrower, and she sideswiped them, and then they lit themselves on fire. Well, there are enough war boys that are still here and not burnt that they have kept up with this pursuit. And they're looking at the situation ahead. You've got war rig, and off to the left of the war rig, you've got this giant column of air. And these guys make the brilliant decision, let's pass the war rig on the left and try and cut the difference between the war rig and the giant column of angriness.
Well, they're just following the rules of the road. You're supposed to pass on the left.
So that the driver can see you.
Yes.
So you're not in their blind spot.
They're being responsible drivers.
Responsible, irresponsible drivers.
Yeah, very much so.
It'd be great though if that was the last thing that like Nux heard as he's watching them go past. It's like, let my safe driving be my legacy.
There are a number of things that fly off this Monaro when it's swept up into the storm, and one of them that would have been really funny would be a bumper of some kind flying off the car, and we get a nice little close-up slow-mo of how's my driving.
Stop. I just thought about that too. I was like, can we call? Can we call?
Like, their driving was safe until they got swept up in a tornado.
You just pick up, you call now, and it's like just the like a waiting tone, and then you get, this is Mad Max, no rules apply, hang up.
Or if you get straight through to Tom Hardy, it's just like, you just can't understand what he's saying.
I love you, Tom Hardy.
Speaking of that, though, there is a bit in this minute where something is said. I have no idea what it is. You hear, come on! Like, what? What was it? That's Max saying that, right? But what is he saying?
I think it's the war boys in the Monaro that are shouting to each other. The subtitles are handy because they let us know that there are war boys shouting, come on, we've almost got her. Oh, and then as the war rig swerves to press the Monaro into the twister, they shout, come on, hold it steady. And I'm like, guys, you got to do so much more than just hold it steady. You're about to get twistered.
Well, I mean, it's like this whole chain of events because they're getting so close to the tanker that they're creating a like rusty metal on rusty metal like friction on top of all the wind and the sand. So they're just going to kick up some sort of ignition somehow, whether or not they go into the column of death or not. So
yeah, it looks like they had already set themselves on fire again when they got swept up.
Yeah, these guys are not good at using a flamethrower.
It looks almost like they're trying to burn maybe like the fuel line underneath about the middle of the length of the tanker.
Just like for Valhalla. Yeah. Like, go for it. Whatever works.
For all of their focus on dying gloriously in battle, sure, when they go out like chumps, being picked up by Mother Nature's angry finger and thrown through the air. But, oh my word, it is so amazing to watch because you've got this giant heavy war rig. You understand why the rig and the tanker are not getting swept up because they're really heavy. And they're also on the edge of the twister. But as soon as that Monaro actually gets pushed into the twister and it starts lifting up and the fire starts spreading and then explodes in multiple big plumes in the air, Nux is in his car leaning over the steering wheel trying to get a look at this. And I'm like, dude, #same.
Okay, so I was wondering about that he spends so much time leaning forward, straining to watch this whole thing. He's witnessing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
He is watching as long as he possibly can to witness as much of their death explosions as possible.
That's why I find him such an interesting character as well, because again, he's so indoctrinated into this lifestyle. He's kind of looking in genuine awe at what's happening, and he doesn't seem to be upset that like his brothers are dying, because to him it's like, oh, they're dying in glorious battle for one thing, and he is witnessing them. It's so enthusiastic to be like, yes, they're gone, but this is a great thing that they died in this fashion and stuff. So it's very. Plus, actually, as well, though, I have to put down another official statement. If I was to die in that manner, I think I'd be pretty happy with that as a death. You think afterwards, it's like, I'd make sure at the funeral everyone knows exactly the circumstances, because that was beyond the stupid driving element. The whole getting sucked into a toxic, sandstorm, tornado thing, and the car blowing up and stuff. I want people to know that. So people there would be like, sounds like a pretty cool death. Instead of, something stupid like, oh, I just stubbed his toe and fell down the stairs.
What's that song? Dumb Ways to Die?
Yep.
Done by the Australian...
I think it's the Train
Metro?
Council.
Yeah, the Train Council. Pretty much the whole mind the gap idea.
Don't fall onto the train tracks.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a dumb way to die.
Mm-mm.
One of our recurring Australian guests on Batminute, Dale Kingsmill, she did a cover of Dumb Ways to Die, but it was all set in, because she's a big D&D player, so she's just coming out with random ways you could die in D&D and stuff and playing it on ukulele.
Excellent.
It's like, she's a funny girl. So yeah, there's a plug for Dale Kingsmill and that video. If people want to go check it out.
I'm trying to figure out what pieces of religious mythology they've put together to create this Mad Max like structure, because like sure they've got the Valhalla of Norse mythology, but we're like the witness part, that's not part of a warrior's thing. I mean, these warriors, but not like a Viking warrior thing.
Rick, remind me, have we dug into that yet?
I don't think so.
Because we've dug into the religious symbolism of several aspects of this cult. I don't think we've done the witness me part yet.
Although I can see it as an extension of the Valhalla mythos. The idea that in order to get into Valhalla, you need witnesses to vouch for you. If you die a warrior's death, cool. Did anybody see it? No. Well, less cool then. If a war boy dies and goes to the gates of Valhalla, and there are no other war boys to vouch for him, does he still get in? And I say that because in I think it's week 20 that we're getting into, so a while ago from now, Joe says to Nux that if Nux does something for him, that Joe himself will carry him to the gates of Valhalla. So I think there is a invite-only thing set up in Valhalla where if you don't know someone inside, then you need to have people who know why you should be let inside.
And even Christianity has an element of witnessing. Like, I'm thinking specifically of weddings and baptisms must have witnesses.
It's like a cosign. I cosign that you're baptized kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, there's the whole, St. Peter in his book. The whole idea behind Christianity is, Jesus put your name in a book, and St. Peter is there to check it off and let you in like a doorman at a nightclub. Here I go using nightclub imagery again,
Rick?
even though I've never been to a nightclub.
Rick Ingham? Good.
I don't see it.
No, he's not here. You got to talk to St. Peter.
I've got an Ingram, and I'm like, no, I'm not an Ingram. I'm not an Ingram. I'm an Ingham. He's like, oh, well, you might want to take the elevator down, check if you're on their list.
I was I'm anticipating my own debate of is it McGowan? No, McGowan. I told you already, damn it.
I love the idea
If you
that St.
swear
Peter
at
is...
St. Peter, he won't let you in.
I love the idea of St. Peter being terrible at pronouncing names.
Well, he's got such an easy name. Okay, so they've mixed a lot of crap to make this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the aspect of you calling it a cult, which it is, but when you're outside of the utopian part of it, I don't think of it so much as a structured cult. I think it more of like if you play Fallout and you walk around and you encounter bandits or mutants or whatever, they're merry bands of people who are together. But then you forget that the overall superstructure is they're part of this conglomerate society of this cult, and it's all functioning around this one pillar kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to focus in on what exactly makes it a cult, and I think it's the fascination with Immortan Joe as a singular figure.
Well, it's a charismatic leader.
Yeah.
Who calls the shots, who keeps order based off of his own rules, and then if you lose your leader, everything devolves into chaos.
Yeah.
Going back to the Fallout thing, you've got the children of Adam who worship radiation, and for some reason they're immune to it. And so they hang out in super irradiated areas. And those people can very much be seen as a cult, but not because they follow one specific person, but because they separate themselves out from society. There's an isolation aspect to it.
I would see them as a new age religious movement.
Yeah.
Whereas the Brotherhood, I kind of see as a cult.
It's a tricky thing, the label.
I think the label is also very subjective.
Yeah.
Again, you'll be getting to this much, much further down the line and stuff, but I was quite taken in the fact that, as soon as Immortan Joe is dead, as soon as he's presented dead, everyone is just oh, the hell, that guy. Let's see. Things do descend into chaos. There's no secondary leader. It's just sort of yep, he was the one thing that was keeping us going. This one guy was running this entire thing by himself somehow, that everyone was loyal to him. And as soon as he's gone, it's just well, the hell with it. We're free now and stuff. It's pretty impressive. I guess maybe a lot of the war boys are gone, but there's still tons of them left in the city as well. But
oh yeah, tons of them. There are countless war boys.
You got the sick war boys and the war pups and all ones that are not well enough to do war.
I just like saying war pup.
Yeah.
It's cute.
That's what I would want to be. War pup.
I do have to say though, like just a shout out, even though he's not in these minutes, just the design of Immortan Joe though, just as like just something to look at. He is awesome looking. Like that's one of the most, like that mask he has is one of the best masks I've seen in cinema in about 20 years. Like he just looks so cool. It's such a unique thing. Of like, yeah, it's kind of like he's got like a metal horse face with these big teeth and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's amazing. It's a fantastic character in general, and just the actual design of him. It's like, yeah, everyone in this movie should be patting themselves in the back for everything, because this was quite a feat to achieve this thing. Mm-hmm. But the people who designed Immortan Joe as well, just get an extra shout out for them, even though it's not relevant to this episode, I guess.
There are plenty of things to applaud in Fury Road. You'll get no argument from me there. But I do want to pull us back into the minute, because as we're watching all of these things explode and fly around and Nux is filled with such awe, we get to a point where the explosion is done, the music drops out, and we're sitting in the car with Nux, and he's just shuddering with excitement. And he lets out the phrase that we've heard so many times in every trailer and every advertisement. Oh, what a day. What a lovely day.
That was one, as I alluded to in the last episode, like one of the most instantly iconic lines. Now it's like people say that, everyone knows now, like what that's from and stuff.
There's a lot to love about this phrase. Not only is it easy, you can plaster it on just about anything, and because of the advertising, you'll know exactly what people are talking about. But in universe, it also juxtaposes with the fact that he's driving through a giant toxic storm to begin with, and it highlights his devotion to this suicide cult that he's part of, and how the fact that even though his brothers are dying around him in spectacular fashion, that this day is absolutely lovely because so many of his war brethren are going to Valhalla.
I think this is a direct reaction to him witnessing so many of his brethren die gloriously.
Yeah, makes sense. I do love it as a phrase, though, as well, because it's quite distinctly Australian. If it was very British, because people over here would say, oh, what a lovely day. It doesn't sound like a very American thing to say, oh, what a lovely day. But except for like the Bill Withers song, obviously, of course, would you associate the phrase with immediately. But it kind of throws back to like that very sort of distinctly Australian kind of eccentric language that's in all the Mad Max movies. Like, in fact, you have like a character in Thunderdome called Auntie, which isn't a thing Americans say all that much of, like, oh, yes, my auntie. It's like, that's much more of a British/Australian thing, because obviously the two countries are intrinsically linked. So yeah, I like that because it really brings me back to the old Mad Max. It's after the massive gap of time. What, like, was it like 15 years or so, or even more than that?
Closer to 30.
Oh, I mean, like since Thunderdome, like since the previous movie. But,
yeah, 1985 to 2015 is 30 years.
Oh, sorry. So I'm mistaken.
Time flies.
Concepts of time.
But yeah. So like it really brought it right back into that universe for me. Like, oh, that sounds like a very Mad Max thing to say. Like, and it's its own eccentric form of dialogue that they throw in there from time to time.
I would like to see Nicholas Hoult sneak this line into all of his movies. Just to show off the different range and how versatile this line is. Like, he is playing J.R.R. Tolkien in the biopic Tolkien that I don't know if it's out as this episode is dropping or if it's still yet to come. I don't know. We're recording this in February, so I don't know. But I would like to see that movie and at one point have Nicholas Hoult as J.R.R. Tolkien, just like, whether it's in the war or when he's home from war, just sitting there with a cup of coffee and be like, what a day. What a lovely day. Because it would be a different inflection and a different reasoning behind it, but it's the same words and it's so versatile.
He could say it as Beast for sure in X-Men.
That was one thing, like if they wanted to have like crossover in Nicholas Hoult movies, what I would have loved that they had done like in Road Warrior, where you have like a voiceover describing like the Road Warrior and all this sort of stuff, like from the kid. If like Nux had survived this movie and he was narrating it way into the future, but they got Kelsey Grammer in to do the voice instead of Nick Holton. Like I would have been, I just love Kelsey Grammer in general, so I would have just loved it anyway. But if that had been the reasoning behind it, I'm like, oh yeah, fantastic! You've done it again, Miller. You genius.
After Nux says, "Oh, what a day, what a lovely day," we get what could arguably seen as something that's close to a penguin to make Johnie happy.
Yay!
We get Nux's hood ornament. Well, not even a hood ornament. It's a dashboard bobbler.
Yeah.
Not the first time we've seen it, but it's nice to see it return.
It's agreeing with Nux.
Yeah.
Enthusiastically agreeing.
Do you guys have, if not a penguin, do you have a theory on which kind of bird this skull might be taken from?
Oh, it's absolutely a crow. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's definitely a crow.
Crows have a special part of the Mad Max series. Specifically from the first movie, you hear them a lot when the bikies are around, when trouble is afoot. You hear crows. You don't hear them so much in Thunderdome because they really downplay the animal bird thing in that movie as far as wild animals are concerned. But just having a crow be associated with someone who is in a bad guy faction, it's like poetry. It rhymes. To quote another George. So Nux, emboldened by this, slams down on the accelerator and he pushes that car. And I say push because, as we're reminded in one of these shots, that front tire is gone and that rim is digging into the dirt, gouging out a trough in the desert. Even if Immortan Joe's fleet lost sight of the war rig in this storm, like most likely happened, they could probably follow the gouge in the desert left by Nux's car to try and find where the rig went.
Like a trail of breadcrumbs.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. You've got sound logic there, Rick. I have no disagreements with what you just said.
I have a question. As the Nuxmobile, as I prefer to call it, is coming up Furios's right-hand side, passing on the right, which is not correct. Anyways, she's looking at him in her side view mirror, and her side view mirror just kind of pops and explodes.
It looks like it got struck by lightning.
It got struck by lightning.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because when I was cutting up these minutes into individual shots, I was racking my brain trying to figure out why this mirror breaks. And I'm like, does Nux shoot it? There's no muzzle flash, so he didn't shoot it. Did it get struck by lightning? Did it get blown apart by the wind? Did they hit a bump or something like that?
I think it's definitely the lightning to me.
My best guess is that it's a piece of debris, like a rock, being thrown by the storm.
That makes. I think it's the lightning thing. Just it seems that way because it occurs with the flash of light, so it's
that's true.
It evokes that in your head. But
yeah, I've got it paused on miraculously just the right moment where there's a bolt of lightning in the mirror. We see a bolt of lightning. It comes down and hits behind the Nuxmobile. So it's possible that the force of that blew some debris off of Nux's car and into the mirror. Because at that point, Nux is pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing, though, because if you're a superstitious type, who's going to get the 7 years bad luck out of this? Is the lightning going to get it? Or is it going to be the debris? Or is it going to be Nux for just being near? Or is it going to be Furiosa because it's her mirror that's broken? So how's that get doled out?
It's split between all parties.
Yeah, because everybody who's in this shot, I guess, the scene, this is the group of people that we're going to stick with for quite a bit of the rest of the movie. This is our party. And they all kind of have crappy luck. So it all comes down to this moment when these two mirrors break.
Do you think, though, is it like when it's divvied up, is it like, oh, each of them gets like 2.5 years of bad luck? Or is it like, oh no, it's 7 years, but it's not quite as bad luck? It's just sort of like moderate luck. It's sort of like, I mean, you kind of get, because I guess at the end of the day, Furiosa does get what she wants, but it's just like in an inconvenient way for her. So it's like maybe if she had borne the brunt of if she was solely responsible for that mirror breaking, then she'd be dead by the end of this movie.
And there are people who don't survive this movie, who are in this group.
The thing is, though, it's kind of like if Nux does die, so like spoilers for the end of the movie. So the gods that dole out this luck business, they'd want to keep him around for the full 7 years, though. So that's kind of like, oh, if he's getting out like 2 days later. That ain't 7 years bad luck. So maybe it is Furiosa that's taking the brunt of this because she has to, survive and live the full 7 years before she can die. So they get the entire debt.
Wait, did you say the person who's alive is more unlucky than the person who's dead?
Yeah, because the person who's dead doesn't get the full 7 years bad luck though. They're out. They get they're done. So it's like, no, they get the full experience of the 7 years and then you can die.
Yeah, Nux gets to go to Valhalla.
Does he?
So maybe it's an indication like, oh no, this is all Furiosa. She broke that mirror, like just by looking at it.
I'm certainly not going to argue the ins and outs of exactly how 7 years of bad luck work when you break a mirror. But I'm clicking through frame by frame right now, and the way I've got it, at 57 seconds, 16 frames, you see the flash of lightning in the mirror. When I click over from frame 16 to frame 17, the mirror is broken now. And it looks like the main force that broke the mirror came through in the bottom half, because the glass is being blown out from the bottom and is sort of curving up towards the top. So whatever hit that mirror hit the lower end of it, and it completely spared the smaller side mirror up to the right of the main mirror. And you can actually see, well, I can actually see, because I'm clicking through like this, the backing of the mirror and the side frames of the mirror are being knocked loose and are sort of hanging off of the frame. So whatever did it, whether it was a rock thrown by the storm or a rock kicked up by the wheels of the war rig or something that Nux did, it's going to be a real pain to replace that thing. And I guess if you want to see the word pain as a pun or play on words of the fact that it's glass, go for it, but it was not intentional.
Well, I didn't think of that until you said it. How is there still even whole pieces of glass in this world? I mean, do they make glass?
Well, they must do. I mean, they got a lot of sand, to be fair.
Yeah, glass isn't hard to make. You just have to super heat it up.
I think they're just lucky. They're lucky to have found the glass in the first place intact, and then they're careful enough to make sure that it's maintained.
No, they're not careful. Opposite of careful.
Not in this movie.
I do also. Is this the first time you get the shot of Nux's name on the pedal as well to indicate that he's somewhat? Well, I guess he's totally personalized the car if if it's his car. But this is the fact that he's actually got a signature on one of the pedals.
I think we got to see it earlier when
we did, yeah.
Nux assumedly was looked at by Immortan Joe initially, and he said, I am awaited in Valhalla, and he pulled his steering wheel off and raised it up through the moonroof, and we got a quick shot of him slamming on the accelerator in that scene too.
Oh, okay.
So technically the second time, but no less important. We're establishing that when it comes to going fast, Nux is all about it. This is the second time we've seen him do this exact thing. Not just slamming on the accelerator, but also turning on his NOS system. Because I assume it's a nitrous oxide system, I assume.
Yeah.
Might just be extra gas. I really don't know. I'm not that good with cars. But the important thing is that Nux is going about as fast as he can manage, and he is about to catch up to Furiosa, if not just match her speed sort of thing. We'll figure out the whole placement situation when we come back on Friday, because we will see Nux get a little gassy, Max is going to punch out a window, and they will both meet with the business end of the war rig. The Mad Max Minute podcast is a fan project by Rick and Julia Ingham.
The Mad Max franchise was created by George Miller and Byron Kennedy, is presented by Kennedy Miller Mitchell Productions, and distributed by Warner Brothers.
Mad Max Minute is produced and edited by Rick Ingham. Our opening music is Verdi's Dies Irae by Daniel Bautista of danielbautista.com.
Our home on the internet is madmaxminute.com. You can follow us on Twitter at madmaxminute, like us on Facebook by searching for Mad Max Minute, and join our Facebook listener group, Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone.
If you'd like to support the podcast, visit madmaxminute.com, where you can see what's in our TeePublic store, join our Patreon, or even donate to the show to help us keep the tanks full.
Thank you for joining us for minute 29 of Fury Road. We'll see you next time.